Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
4v3.
Ever from esports trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a wall. They're gonna deflect. CY gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga4 is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Blue manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio. That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Starting the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the 8? They get the 8. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to CGL, where it's time to start our mid-season playoffs here right now. We have a great matchup here in the GM tier as Vesuvius takes on Deva. My name is Dextron. That is Shadowfang. Shadowman, how are you doing here tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to kicking off this mid-season tournament. You know what I mean? It's usually I don't get a game this early in the week, so I'm really excited to get it started. Quick and early.
Yeah, a little bit earlier than I think we've been starting games in CGL. Normally it's Wednesday through Sunday, but hey, mid-season playoffs is a little bit of a special event here. We try to show off as many games as we possibly can. And just so you know, if this is your first time watching the mid-season playoffs, this is a single elim tournament here. So you lose, you're out. However, the loss will not count towards your whole season record. This is a completely separate thing for the best teams currently in a lot of our tiers.
Yep, absolutely. In the GM tier in particular, it's just going to be the top 4 teams going against each other, essentially. And, I mean, these 2 teams already did play each other, with Vesuvius taking that win 3-1 in week 2. So I'm sure Deva's looking forward to trying to get some get back in this midseason bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. When you speak of the bracket here, we will be showing you the bracket for the GM tier. Only 4 teams, so already at the semi-finals here, and it makes it that much more important to be winning this series here, because you have to remember, winner of the grand finals, or next game basically for these 2 teams who are moves on, would get a season victory added on. I believe loser still gets at least a map. Okay, yeah, so 3 map points for finishing second. So essentially 3 map wins, and then, like I said, winner of the winner of the midseason does get essentially a whole another victory added on to their record going into the back half, which has been very important in the past for some teams who maybe had a little bit of a run in the midseason, got that victory in the midseason, and were able to just get into the playoffs because of it.
Yeah, it can be useful in that capacity. You could also have a situation where a bunch of teams are undefeated and you just have that one up on the rest of them because you won this midseason, giving you that 1 seed over the rest of them. So there can be a variety of cases in which it can be very useful to get that extra win.
Yeah, but hey, like you said, these 2 teams met each other about 3 weeks ago now. It was Vesuvius that came out on top 3-1. Deva looking to get a little bit of revenge here tonight. A rare thing to be seeing some teams that have been played against each other already in the regular season once, playing them here again in the midseason, but that's something that we expect to see, especially as it goes further and further into some of the brackets. While there are 4 in this bracket, there are other brackets that have 8 in it. So again, there'll be a lot of games happening here over the next couple days in CGL.
Oh, yes, there absolutely will be. And, like you were saying, it's a pretty open, diverse map pool. But our first map, you can see it right behind us. It's going to be Ilios. It's pre-selected, just like it is in the regular season. Round 1, 2, and 3, if 3 is needed, depending on which bracket, are going to be a different control map. So Ilios is going to be our first one here tonight.
I mean, hey, it's a really good control map. I feel like outside of Lijiang, this is probably the control map that a lot of teams gravitate towards. You know what to play on it. You know what to expect on it. And you have to, you know, mind the well, mind the edges of the map on this one in particular. Because, you know, there's going to be maybe a Lucio, potentially a Hog, that's going to try to send you off the map somehow.
Yeah, you could even get into some cat shenanigans as well. That character is available, so that could be an option. Vesuvius here going to get the first ban tonight. With these two teams having already played each other, this could potentially be a targeted ban via Vesuvius, but I'm not too sure which way they might go here. You have quite a few options that I think are always solid for a map 1. You know, the Curie ban is always pretty typical. You got, I think, a Cass or an Ashe would be solid on this map. You could go Deva, Zarya. You know, either one of those could also be a solid option. But I'm gonna guess the Zarya ban is gonna come out earlier. That's gonna be my guess.
Yeah, Zarya, Vendetta, I feel like are very safe bans. But no, Deva gonna be the ban coming out here, especially on this map in particular. I feel like you see a lot of teams run dive, and you normally see one of the teams get rid of the dive tank that maybe their tank's not the most comfortable with. So it forces the other team to either match it or go over to that Zarya here. So if we're gonna be seeing dive, it's gonna be Winston or potentially something like Doomfist or Wrecking Ball. Now, Deva up to ban here. And you talked about support line, you talked about DPS line. I would always kind of say gravitate towards that support line. I feel like just getting a support out of the way early on is safe. I feel like the safest ones right now would be Kiri or Lucio. Who do you think would be the one you would be going with here?
You know, I got to be honest. I think that seeing the Deva ban come out, I'm going to counter by banning Tracer, because Winston's incredibly hard to play without that Tracer backup. So you almost get rid of the Winston potentially just by removing that Tracer as an option. It becomes significantly harder to play. But I completely agree with you also that Kiri or Lucio would also be a really solid ban here.
Oh, looks like Deva's gonna be going with the Lucio ban out here. And again, I feel like that really forced you to either really try to play or have to commit to that Juno if you want to have some speed, or go for a little bit of a slower composition, one that maybe gravitates itself towards a little bit more brawly here. Well, yeah, you can still run, I think, the traditional dive backline of that Brig Ana. This is definitely a map where it struggles at some points.
Yeah, it most certainly can. Not being able to have that mobility and just being able to be dove upon can be incredibly tough on this map. And getting rid of the Lucio basically guarantees that you're not going to see the Kiriko as well. So it gets rid of the Kiri Lucy dive option, which is what a lot of teams really enjoy doing.
I wouldn't say it completely gets rid of it. I think it just gets rid of the Kiriko. I think it just makes it a little bit harder for the Kiriko to maybe live comfortably here. But again, these two teams have already played each other once. They probably know what to expect. These could have been targeted bans, or these could have been safe bans here. But you see the lineups now for both these teams. For Vesuvius, it will be Gravelot, Jubs, Happy Dragon, Balake, and Chris Kringle. For Deva, it will be Guni, Kokoshibi, I'm saying that one wrong, I'm so sorry. Braza, Flexer, and Rookie Loop.
That one's Kokushibo. I only know that because I have in fact read Demon Slayer. That is a direct Demon Slayer reference.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna get mad at them because their pronunciation on the team sheet says that their name is Kinga.
Well, you know, you got Kinga, Braza, you know, they're trying to combo together, do something like that maybe.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely three players on this team who have definitely tried to make those names here. But it's gonna be really interesting to see when we go in here. Braza did actually tell us that they are a current collegiate player. Same thing with Pillow, who's not in right now for Deva, could be in. Deva does have a couple subs, 4 subs to be said that. Well, Vesuvius has 3 of their own, so we could see a lot of people coming in and out throughout the game here tonight, Shadow.
That is definitely a potential. I think it's really going to vary map to map, right? Like, I think a map like Circuit Royale really lends itself to, hey, we're going to put in our person that plays Sigma. We're going to put in our Widowmaker player. You know, there are those type of maps. But I think, like, what we're seeing here on Ilios is most likely going to be, like, like the standard. This is what I think is going to end up being the standard 5 that we're going to see for the most part, except for in some, like, you know, special circumstances, special map situations.
And look, coming out of the gate right now, we do see Vesuvius going over to the Wrecking Ball comp that I thought we could see this map still being very heavily die favored. But on the other side, Deva, if they stick with this Queen, what do you necessarily think of that?
All right, so Queen actually does a pretty good job of just being able to not have to deal with Wrecking Ball, but you also don't really have anybody that you can run on very effectively, right? By the time you make it to that back line of the Ana Brig, you're going to get hit by some sort of cooldown in some capacity, especially with Gravelot being on this Sombra.
Yeah, I mean, you can already see, as Cooney takes care of Jubs on the other side, winning out the cast duel pretty early on here, and that is really going to slow down Vesuvius here for the time being, because you need this cast in this composition to really get anything going. But Happy Dragon can try to stall at the point as long as it can, but it will be Vesuvius capping point first.
And I mean, that is... Deva. The one weakness with the Wrecking Ball comp is that you don't really have that much point presence, and you just kind of saw that right there with how quick that cap came through for Deva.
Yeah, and again, you see Jubs coming back in, almost taken care of. I believe that was, well, again, Jubs going to be actually the first one falling out again, as Goonie has had their name here so far. And look what this is doing here to Vesuvius. It's really just stopping them dead in their tracks, while Happy Dragon and Grab are just on their own trying to get rid of the backline.
And it's tough. It's tough, right? Jub's now going on to the Soldier. The Leg 76 has joined the lobby. And there's maybe some potential you can get like some better off angles, try and just get a target somewhere. But it's just hard to break through that Brig shield. Like, that's the difficulty. But Jub's taking down Kokushibo is a good start.
And you needed that right there, especially for a player that's already died twice right now. Rookie going to be able to get rid of Grave, and that should really even it out here right now. However, you look at how Vesuvius is playing this first point. It's very weird. Goonie, they're going to be able to shut down Happy Dragon, but, I mean, you're controlling high ground on a point where I don't think you normally see teams really care about the high ground that much.
No, you really don't. Nice knife coming in from Braza, taking down Balake right there. And it's tough because Balake can't really get into an offensive position to try and land like an anti-nade. They're very difficult anti-nades, as Goonie takes down Happy Dragon as well. And I mean, Vesuvius just having a really tough time right now.
Yeah, they are, and Goonie finding another one out here, and Deadeye coming out a little bit preemptively there, trying to at least find one more, not going to be able to do it. And right now, Shadow, I have to say, I feel like there's been some players of Vesuvius who have yet to even touch the point.
It's very highly likely. I don't think either one of these support players has touched the point. I would be shocked if they had, genuinely, just because of the positioning. But it's just tough, too, because Happy Dragon isn't really finding really good slams to really get high damage in right now.
Blot does have this EMP online. Goonie, they're going to be able to shut down Jumps again. 5-man EMP coming out there, but you need to find the follow-up on it. However, it's going to be Grab somehow falling off the map. They fell into the well. Braza going to shut down Happy Dragon, and you finally see some touches coming out there as Chris Kringle does get the nano, but the Consumer Rush coming out there from Deva is pretty much going to call currents for this point here, as Balake somehow stays alive just enough time for the point to end. But a weird start, but Deva will absolutely take it.
Yeah, they absolutely will. And, I mean, I got to shout out the backline for Deva, right? They were doing a fantastic job of forcing an obscene amount of cooldowns out of Vesuvius, and Vesuvius was getting no value from it. That Brigida shield was just always up. We never saw it cracking. The rally gets popped preemptively to predict the EMP. That's really why the EMP didn't get any value there. Like, everybody had that little bit of overhealth from the rally to just live through the EMP before before you were able to get the healing back up. And again, Vesuvius just really discombobulated there. Nobody was really on the same targets at the same time that round.
Yeah, and right now, if you're Vesuvius, you kind of need to change up your composition here just to get something going here. It seemed like Gravelot, especially in playing that Sombra with Happy Dragon on this ball last round, it was like they were trying to just get rid of the backline and then they would go from there, but just never worked out, so you never really saw them move forward. Goonie already getting poked out here a little bit, taking some damage as they're just going again after Jubs, with Velaka going to be able to shut them down here, and this is exactly what Vesuvius needs here. Happy going to be able to shut down Flex, and hey, they're going to get the first fight win here. Looks like they should also get the first cap as well.
It does appear to be that way. I mean, it helps. So this is a map where high ground, I would say, is significantly more important than it was on first point. You know, we were talking about how they were getting control of that high ground, but you couldn't really do nothing with it. Well, now, having control of that high ground, you're probably going to win that duel against Goonie significantly more often now. And then having Gravelot in consistently more often, right now, you see them already 80% onto that pulse bomb. It's only been a fight. Like, yeah, this is a much better composition.
It's working a lot better for them as well, as they're already starting to take point here, but it's going to be Deva who just immediately takes it right back. And, I mean, Vesuvius, we've seen teams do this in the past where they just give up point for free. Almost getting the knock off the map there was Happy Dragon, but Koshabo able to just recall themselves back up onto the point here. And same thing again, almost getting another one, but it's going to be blocking, just being able to climb up here. Both Briggs taken out of the fight here pretty early on. Braza has to play for their life here with very little supports by them. They are desperately just trying to hide around corners because the Wrecking Ball badly wants to find him. Koshabo going to be able to find Gravelot there. And now Deva somehow kind of stabilizing here. Mine's out from Happy Dragon, but still, you can play around them here at the moment. As you do see Braza fall, Jub's going to be able to take care of them. And it should be Vesuvius taking the point here very quickly, but they need to get rid of the Tracer. Points taken. Now they just need to clean up.
I mean, honestly, though, if you're Deva, you're pretty happy with that because you lost that fight a while ago and you managed to get yourself another 10% at least. You cannot die right there if you're Jubs, though. That is giving a wide... You're leaving it wide open for Deva to push on this now.
And Goonie's been able to find Jubs out 4 times already early in these fights. Deadeye now coming out from Goonie. Not going to be able to find one of the Suzu and the Rally invested to keep him alive here. However, that will get them the point flip there for free, but still, Vesuvius going to lose Gravelot again, and this is a moment where they just have to fall back and regroup because they really cannot engage into this.
I would say, though, the big downside for Deva, they lost their rally in that process, and I think that's going to be something that you wish you had back during one of these ultimates that's incoming. You got Pulse Bomb, Tactical Visor, Kitsune Rush, and Rally available for Vesuvius. You have a Kitsune to match, but you don't have, enough, I feel like.
The Visor coming out here in the Kitsune Rush here, but still Jubs struggling to find anyone. Actually, but Koshabo finding out there. Gravelot, though, will be able to trade out onto Goonie, but now Braza trying to keep themselves up. Flex does throw out the Kitsune Rush a little bit too late to keep their tank alive, but Grav going to be able to shut down Rookie again. Both Kiris taking out the pile drive, going to be able to help find 2 as Vesuvius looking a lot better at this point. Going to be able to take back the point, though.
Oh, that Kitsune Rush, Flex might want that back because you could have engaged with that into this fight and made this a much easier fight than it's about to be. I think you're going to have to expend both the Pulse Bomb and this Rampage if you want to retake this point. Side note, though, Vesuvius does have their minefield, and this could be deadly depending on how this team rotates.
Also came out there from Koshabo on the high ground. I believe it was actually Blockade that used the Suzu to keep everyone alive up there. But still now Braza has this Rampage ready to go. Happy Dragon does have the mines, and we saw him use them pretty aggressively on the point last time. Again, looking to pull people off, but at this moment right now, everyone on Deva knows that they are looking for that. Happy Dragon, though, has to roll away, play their life here. Still holding on to some ultimates as they're coming right back in. Gravelot gonna be able to shut down Goonie. Mines are out on point, so everyone for Deva has to play towards the far side of point for them. And there goes one off the map. Braza using the Rampage, gonna be able to hit on the 3, but the Suzu gonna be able to cleanse most of it, and eventually Jubs will be able to take care of them. However, it looks like it should be Vesuvius cleaning up this fight, taking the point at 98%.
Oh, and here we are. Last fight coming up right now. Gravelot has the Pulse Bomb. Can really end it very quickly if they land this onto somebody early. Side note, though, Deva gonna have... And there goes the Pulse Bomb stick. Does not take down Braza, though. That's probably the one person that wouldn't have killed right there. But Deva does have their Rally and their Deadeye available to them. Can potentially get some good value out of those ults.
Happy Dragon almost just getting taken out there. Deadeye now coming out. Happy Dragon, the one they're looking for. They're going to be able to roll away just in time. Touch does come out, but Jubs will be the first one to fall. Or Goonie will be the first one to fall. Now the Rally from Rookie coming out on point. Just trying to at least get the point flip here. Jubs, though, popping off with the Visor here. Going to be able to find one. Again, now it's all up to Rookie to be able to heal their team. They're trying to get the point flip desperately, but you see the entirety of Vesuvius there just doing what they need to do here. Finding picks, however, they're struggling to. Braza will shut down one, but eventually the 3v1 will shut them down here. Rookie not going to be lasting much longer as their counterpart takes care of them. Koshabo trying to just get back to the point here, but no one will be able to in time. And after a really weird first point for Vesuvius, they looked a lot better on the second point to make sure we're going to a third point.
It looks like, with them being on a ball comp, they're really... The composition is really focused on, space. You just need to be spaced out all across the map, be stationed on these various high grounds, and just poking from all kinds of angles. Just being so far away that Braza can't really shoot you too often. And I think that's going to be significantly harder to do on this point. This point does not have all that many high grounds that you can sit on like what we were seeing there on Lighthouse. Ruins is a significantly more brawl-focused point, so I would be looking for Deva to be able to run on some more of these targets on this point.
It's a little bit more of a brawl focused point, but at the same time, those hit scans, if you play someone like an Ashe or a Widow, definitely do find their value on this map in particular. You don't see any one of the hit scans going over that just yet, but you already see Happy Dragon just giving a lot of intel right now, letting them know that, hey, Goonie made the swap over here to the Soj. They might have to play a little bit differently because of that. But Jubs was someone who really turned it around last map for Vesuvius, and it was a big difference. But Goonie again finds them out here pretty early on. We've now seen Goonie play a couple different heroes, and they've been able to excel on all of them so far. It looks like Deva should be able to get the first point cap as well.
Yes, they will. They lose Kokushibo in the process, though, which could be tough because now Gravelot is kind of free to run around on this Tracer, really uncontested for the most part, and we're seeing like a lot of damage come through from this Tracer.
Happy Dragon gonna be able to get out with their life right there again. Looking to just knock some people around, maybe find the lucky roll or knock off the map. They're not gonna be able to do it just yet. Pile driving right back in onto Brasa, but not gonna be able to find them out just yet. Now they're focusing back in on the backline as Balaka gonna be able to shut down. Cruz will be out here again. But Jubs just going to force back Brasa here for the moment. Deva's still holding on to the point, but oh, Goonie will fall. And now this seems like a moment right here where if you're Vesuvius, you're just trying to get rid of this tank. You'll get the point flip, and then you get rid of Brasa. A huge kind of stagger pick coming out there.
Oh, and the continued staggers coming through for Vesuvius. And it's just gonna take that much longer now to get a full reset for Deva. And I mean, I really think the biggest issue right now is you still don't really have a target to run on with this Junker Queen composition. Jubs is like the best target you have, and that's going to be a difficult person to catch on the legs.
Pulse Bomb coming out there from Gravelot. Would have found Rookie Loop, but Rookie Loop died just before that. Goonie, they'll be able to shut down Gravelot right there. So an even trade across the board, but still, if you're Deva, you kind of have to play a little bit slow here, knowing you don't have warrior support. Jub's going to be able to shut down Goonie. Mines out as well from Vesuvius. So already 2 ultimates invested by them this fight. Deva, understand this fight's all but lost. They are just looking to regroup back in spawn. However, I believe 2 of the members might not be able to.
It's a tough spot to be stuck in right now if you're those Deva players. What you do actually manage to get out of there, and you really got to dislodge them from this high ground. Jubs is just sitting up there, just firing upon your team freely, and you really need to do something about it if you're Deva.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where you feel like you don't really see that high ground be used that much, but Kokushibo going to be able to find one out. Balake will fall as well. This is looking like a much better fight here for Deva. Both DPS ultimates taken out, but you will lose Brasa here pretty early on. Jub's going to be able to shut down Goonie, so what looked like a good fight at the start there for Deva slowly start to almost fall apart there at the end, but they will be able to get the point flip now. Still 3 ultimates in their back pocket, but Vesuvius also has the same amount.
Yes, they do. And that Kitsune and Visor could be deadly, especially because we know Jubs has taken that stim perk for Soldier that also adds a little bit of speed, so you can like double up the speed potentially. That would actually be kind of crazy to see. But coming into this next fight, I would say the biggest thing to watch for is going to be that Rampage from Brasa.
Balaka, though, they cleansed a lot of it last time it was used. It was Gravelot. Really a good map for them so far. We'll take care of Flex immediately. You just see Rookie have to respond with their own rally, but Brasa uses the Rampage, I think, only lands on the 1 and ends up costing their own life there. A little bit of a misplay from, I believe, all the members of Deva that fight, and now Vesuvius back in control, but that fight did cost them 4 ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, that's worthwhile because you put yourself in last fight territory and you basically have your minefield. All you're worrying about is a Kitsune rush. And David not really close to literally anything else. Oh. And Flex is already dead, so you don't even have the Kitsune rush.
And you lose Brasa as well. I mean, I don't even know if there's going to be a touch here for Deva anymore. You see players just trying to rush to point. Rookie going to fall. Goonie going to fall. Kokushibo going to be the only one to maybe get a touch here. Yeah, they will, but now they have to play the game of how long can I really go here, and it won't be that long. Mine's coming out, and Vesuvius, after realistically a terrible first point, locked in for points 2 and 3, taking our first map of the night.
And I mean, it really felt like Deva, after that first point, they just stopped playing as together. They were splitting more often, and that's where the Wrecking Ball composition becomes really strong. If you're split constantly and you're just allowing this Wrecking Ball to do this right here, just slam on you and just solo kill you, essentially, that's when the composition becomes difficult to deal with. But on point 1, we saw them kind of just staying together as a unit, And the Brigida in particular was just able to keep them up with that Inspire, the perfectly timed rallies. And, I really do feel like the biggest thing that was changed, though, was definitely Gravelock going from that Sombra over to that Tracer. Getting that more consistent damage in was significantly impactful.
Yeah, like we even talked about that for a brief moment. That Wrecking Ball and Sombra seemed to just be trying to assassinate people in the backline, but were never really able to be in sync there. And I mean, we even said, like, I feel like one of the supports never touched the point at all. That first point, and hell, the second support only touched it at 99-0 in overtime. So it shows you how weird that first point really was there for Vesuvius. But I mean, Deva, they had the chance to kind of, I think, not only take control of the map very early on, maybe even control the series, but they kind of let it slip through their hands there on Lighthouse and on Ruins. Never really truly got anything going. Those last couple of fights we saw from them, especially where they invested the rally and the rampage, just felt like a little bit of miscommunication from the team there, where the rally was used to try to keep, I think, the Jungle Queen alive, but the Jungle Queen then rampaged back towards their own spawn where the majority of the members of Vesuvius were, and almost essentially killed themselves because of it.
Yeah, it really felt like Deva wasn't willing to lose fights, right? There was several situations where that happened. I called it out on Lighthouse, where a Kitsune Rush got popped a little bit late there, and then it caused the next fight to, you need to expend more ultimates, because they weren't willing to lose a fight. And you got to be willing to lose a fight. You got to look up at the percentages and be like, okay, even if we lose this, we can come back and retake it, because they just used their Kitsune. We have ours, so we will just win because we use this ultimate and basically nothing else. So it's just one of those moments where you got to be willing to lose fights every so often.
Yeah, and yeah, you have to there. And I mean, especially here at the GM level, you would have to kind of expect that there will be times where teams will just back out. However, it seemed like both those teams in that map there, they didn't necessarily have that back out sort of thing. It was like, okay, hey, the fight's over. I'm just going to go run into the other team to try to respawn as quickly as we can. And the one time we saw it there from, I believe it was Deva on that final point, they were still kind of slow to come back in and put themselves in some vulnerable spots where they weren't killed immediately, but once everyone got back there, then they were picked right back off, just continuing this cycle of staggering themselves out of some fights.
Yeah, it was a very unfortunate first map, last 2 points of map 1 from Deva, but we saw them be very competitive and honestly pretty dominant on that first point. So, it shows that these two teams are relatively evenly matched. You just, even with them playing two very different style compositions, I don't think I've seen very much Queen or Wrecking Ball in my time casting here in these first few weeks, so that was really interesting to see both of them at once.
I kind of thought Wrecking Ball would be something we would see come out there with Deva being banned out. Queen, though, didn't expect it, but it was a pleasant surprise, and I thought at times it did good. But map once in the past, we do know what our second map of the night is going to be, and we're going to be heading to Circuit Royale here. And now, Shadow, we go from a little bit of a dive brawl map to really what is more known, I think, as maybe the pokiest map in the game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, Circuit Royale is just a series of straight lines that snipers can stare down. That is the whole map. Like, literally the entire map is just a series of straight, incredibly good sight lines for sniper characters. So, I would expect to see like some Freya, Widowmaker, Sojourn, Ashe, characters like that. This is like one of the only maps in the game that you are pretty much guaranteed to see double hit scan.
Yeah, so Vesuvius has first ban. No, it should be Deva having first ban, I'm pretty sure. Well, first ban coming out. Okay, well, so who do you expect to see banned out here, Shadow? I mean, again, we talked about the poke tanks, the hit scans. I feel like even there's a couple certain supports you could ban on this map, and it makes sense for this map.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you want to ban like a Zen and Iari, it makes sense on this map. I think you ban whatever hit scan you don't want to play, right? So say you're an Ashe player and you don't want to play Widowmaker, ban Widowmaker. Say you don't want to play against Freya, I think you just ban one of the many hit scans that are available here. That's going to be my guess. We'll
see here in a moment what they're... Okay. I mean, yeah, I could see the hit scans, especially like I think a Freya, maybe even a Nash on this map makes the most sense. You could go after Sigma, you could go after Domina. I feel like Domina might get a ban here from one of these teams on this map just because of how strong she still currently is. And again, this is a very poke heavy map instead. Orisa. Ooh.
Well, okay, so what the theory could be behind this is that if you were to just all-out rush with Orisa, you can get right past Domina's shield. And to me, Domina falls over like a wet piece of cardboard if you manage to actually get past that shield with some resources with you. So maybe that's the idea here. We get rid of that. It leaves our Domina more open for us to play that comp.
Yeah, you could be right about that. It makes a little bit of sense. And especially heading as you go through this map, I think that third point almost becomes something where you could still play the poke if it's very much working out for you, but something a little bit more brawly could really work. And I feel like we've seen a lot of teams in the past gravitate towards something like the Orisa, something like the Ramatra as well on that third point. But Deva, hey, we talked about hit scans being banned out here. Widowmaker, a really good map for her, especially on those first 2 points. Getting rid of that early on, making sure that we do not see her.
I mean, that's the beauty of there only being like, to me, this is the only map where you kind of need to play this character. So you can just you can just save that ban every single time for this map. Like, because there's not really another, there are other maps that Widow is threatening on, yes, but this is the map where it's so unbelievably hard to close distance on a Widowmaker on Circuit Royale that it's better to just ban it if you're not going to play it yourself. So I really like that ban from Deva.
Yeah, like I said, I think this map in particular for Widow might be one of her best maps in the game. It's some of the best maps in the game for a lot of the DPS or a lot of the hit scan heroes on it. So again, while Widow I think is a really good ban, I think though you still could have gone after something like the Freya here and maybe even the Emre and still maybe had to be a little bit of a better option. But hey, I'll never be mad at banning Widow on this map. However, it looks like we will be having some subs. Looks like Happy Dragon, who remember played tank that first map for Vesuvius, gonna be swapping over to the DPS line here as Albert will be swapping in on tank for them this time.
And I mean, this makes sense to me. Gravelot, from my understanding, is primarily like a flex DPS style player. So that leads me to believe maybe Happy Dragon is just a really strong hit scan player while also being the Wrecking Ball player, you know. And it just so happens to be the case. And then Albert's coming in to play the Sigma. Maybe we'll even get some of that Domina you were mentioning before. You know, I wouldn't be against seeing her a little bit. I feel like I haven't seen her very much, even though she is pretty strong right now.
Yeah, and I think you probably nail it right there that Albert's probably coming in to play something maybe a little bit more pokey, because looking at the team sheet here, Happy Dragon is the star and tank player, but their favorite hero is Wrecking Ball. Their most played hero is Wrecking Ball. So it kind of tells you this team might be really set up to play Wrecking Ball here. So go over now to what will essentially be the flex DPS line or spot for them, as like you said, Gravelot is subbing out because of this here. So you might be seeing some interesting plays come out here from them. But what does Deva need to do here? Because again, they got off to a really good start last map. But actually, we have another change coming in here. Actually, it looks like Happy Dragon will be stepping out as well as Elite Zero going to be coming in for them here. And you look at it's going to be really interesting. Genji, their favorite hero, not the worst pick on this map, but they could also play a little bit of hit scan. It looks like.
So side note, their most played hero is Freya, which makes significantly more sense. So, you know, they're a Genji player that has been forced onto the pseudo hit scan, in a sense, just because I guess they happen to pick up that hero very, very well. And, you know, it makes sense. We're on Circuit Royale. Freya is really strong, especially if you're not going to be able to play that Widowmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so you have Ashe, you have Hanzo. I feel like Hanzo's actually gotten a lot more play recently, especially on this map. So you still have that as an option there for these teams. And I mean, Emre as well. I talked about Emre got a buff. I feel like a lot of people now have started to really show off how good Emre could be in the right hands. So it's gonna be really interesting. But going back to what I said, what does Deva need to do here? I mean, again, got off to a good start playing that Queen, but then slowly started to fall apart as you saw the changes from the Sombra to the Tracer, and even the swap from the Cast to the Soldier there. What do they need to do here?
Yeah. Honestly, especially on a map like Circuit Royale, a lot of it is going to be aim based primarily. It's going to be just based, hey, are you hitting more shots than the other team? Which sounds incredibly simple, but it is also just because we're on Circuit Royale, and that's the whole map. Like I said, it's a bunch of just straight line sights, and you just need to hit the shots before the other team does on this particular map. There's a little bit of strategy, but a lot of it really just is, who's they're going to win out.
Headrammer, you yourself. But no, coming out of the gate here, at least what we're being teased with here with both these teams, very interesting. I mean, Deva playing the Deva is not necessarily the weirdest choice here, but I feel like it's one that you almost need to play perfectly on it to get it to work on this first point.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Oh my goodness, you're talking about somebody playing perfectly to play Deva. Albert's got to play perfectly to play Junker Queen on this map.
They have
I mean, oh yeah, I guess they could be swapping off of that. Like, how in the world are you going to be able to stay alive long enough to not get just shot down immediately? Oh no, we will have to see.
It's not a tease. And I wonder if you see this Queen on the other side as already Goonie shuts them down. Goonie had a great start to the map last time for them, and I think if they have a really good start here again, it's going to be very, very difficult for Vesuvius to go. And it's again Goonie finding jobs out again to start off a fight.
Yeah, it's weird. It's going almost exactly how it was going on the first map. I failed to mention we have a Mercy sighting in the GM tier. It's been a long time since I've seen a Mercy sighting, but having the pocket Ashe and Jubs trying to deal with that without a pocket is going to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and remember how I said you almost now need to play this, as Elite Zero going to be able to find out Kokushiba there. However, Flex going to be able to get them right back in. This Deva almost need to play perfectly. Now that you're not going up against the poke tank, I feel like there's a lot of stress taken off it. You don't have to play perfectly. You can still play a little bit aggressively here on that Deva, but you already see Deva just kind of backing up here as Vesuvius just trying to take that high ground away from them. Eventually, they will all back up and start playing at this choke point, but it's going to be Jubs shutting down Goonie, and I mean, Jubs, whenever they make the swap, are able to find Goonie out a couple times. A great swap here over to an Ashe of their own as they're already looking for another one, but Luminite going to be able to shut down Kokushiba.
Yes, they are. The Zenyatta, such a good pick on this map. Balake just getting very aggressive on this Kiriko. And I mean, Vesuvius just kind of walking it in right now. No real resistance coming through from Deva on the second half of that point. And, I'm starting to think that you might want to swap to a full-on poke composition. This Deva doesn't really fit in with what the rest of the team is doing, and I like that swap right there over to the Sigma.
Yeah, they needed that, and they needed it really, really bad. But Elite Zero coming off of the bench, gonna be able to find Goonie. Flex gonna get the res there again. And you talked about going to a full poke composition here. As a Bob coming out here, but look at what we're seeing here from Vesuvius. They're just doing a whole bunch of stuff to buy time and buy space essentially for free. Because Deva, ever since they got to on the second point defense, they haven't really left the hotel. As Goonie finally be able to shut down Elite Zero. Balake does invest a Katsuni Rush here, but it'll actually be Brasa who finds them out first. So all that free space for Vesuvius is now gone. You have to come back into another fight here and invest something, as you do see Deva just take the space back completely.
Yes, they are indeed. Luminite still managing to be alive right now is insane, by the way. You should probably try and get that stagger kill out, but it doesn't look like you're going to be able to. And having the Transcendence online for this next fight, I think, is going to be very, very crucial, because it gives you... Oh, no, that's a tough knife pull as Albert just gets rookie flop.
Yeah, it's one of those moments right there where you kind of have to be saying, why is your Ana up that far? But you immediately see Goonie just respond right back in with their own Bob. Luminite going to be able to take care of them. Rampage now out from Albert. Will be able to shut down Kokushibo, and now Flex not going to be able to escape either. It looks like at the moment, if you're still alive on this blue team, you are just actually running for your life here. I thought they'd be going to play Carp, and no, Brasa not going inside the hotel, just kind of playing around on the outside, and you allow now Albert to take the space back, potentially find Rookie out again.
Manages to miss that knife throw right there. Otherwise, that would have been very bad. But Elite Zero immediately takes down Goonie, really showing how that Freya is their most played character, just being really dominant so far, landing all these arrows.
Another res coming back in to get Goonie in, but Jubs will find Brassa. Now, again, you're not even going to see a contest come out here from Deva. Vesuvius just kind of roll over now. Elite Zero finding Goonie out again. And what was a good start here for Goonie, slowly falling apart here as Elite Zero and both Jubs are being able to easily handle them.
But yeah, they really have been. The Emre swap is coming out right now, and I don't know, like, I like Emre in general. Maybe it'll work a little bit better with this being a little bit closer range point, but Jubs just getting the 1v1 on the legs again, just been really dominant since swapping to this hero on map 1.
Yeah, it's almost at this point where might just be saying that Deva needs to ban out the soldier going into next map, considering that's how good they've looked here. Elite Zero, though, gonna be able to find Kokushibo out again just after they got rezzed. Everything's starting to fall apart here for Deva. Yeah, they're coming up to ultimates, but so is Vesuvius.
Yes, they are. Jubs getting saved by that immortality field and just barely getting out. Getting the visor online. A lot of ults are online for both sides, actually. And I mean, you got to do something here if you're Deva. You can't just let this card keep moving.
Well, Jubs going to pop off with their visor. Going to be able to find 2. Luminite does find another, but Kokushibo going to finally be able to trade something out here for Vesuvius, but it might just be a little bit too late here for them. And you look over at Vesuvius. They have no ultimates in their disposal here. You will see Deva come back out. Jubs going to be able to shut down Kokushibo again as they pop their own visor. Albert going to be able to find Rookie. And so you're going to be going to the grave here with a couple of ultimates that you could have used in that last fight for Deva. But Vesuvius looking dominant here.
You know, I could be wrong, but what it looked like to me was that Deva knew Luminite had that Transcendence, and they didn't want to waste ultimates on the Transcendence. That's almost what it looked like to me. So instead, they just didn't really use anything. And I don't know, at some point, you got to just trade out the Flux for it or something, just so you can, like, actually get your team to be more aggressive and actually push into the enemy team. But it's tough when Elite Zero is consistently taking down one of your 2 DPSs in every single fight with a stray arrow just all the way into the back line. Just a really tough spot to be in, because you got Elite Zero pushing you from the front, you got Jubs pushing you from some off angle with Luminite / Balake. One of the 2 is pretty much always with Jubs. You know, you got the Discord Orb, you got the BAP. I didn't think this would work with the Queen, but it's been working very effectively so far.
Yeah, and again, it's almost, like I said, it's a moment where we saw Brassa play this Queen map 1. I thought maybe we would see the Queen come back out for them. Went over to the Sigma, which, again, me and you really thought was probably the right thing to do there. But it just got shut down time after time again. And yeah, there was a lot of aggressive plays coming out there from Vesuvius, but Elite Zero and Jubs, they were just finding so much value. And I mean, you have to remember, Goonie got off to a really good start that map, or that last round there, but fell off very quickly, much like the rest of their team did. As you see Brassa coming right back out here again on the Deva now, running into the same exact comp they ran into last time. So it's going to be interesting to see how long this stays this time.
Yes, it will be interesting to see how this goes. Brassa almost losing mech there to Albert. That was very close, actually. Are going to force the Queen back a little bit, but still, you're not really being able to get enough damage in to really force anybody out right now.
Now, look at Deva. A lot of their members below 50% health, starting to get that healing all back there. 4 members of Vesuvius are right there as Kokushibo goes just dashing in, but there's no follow-up there from anyone else. Brassa just trying to build some space here, and Vesuvius is giving it to them for free here, but only Jubs finding Flex out here pretty early on. Elite finding Kokushibo, and that's going to basically be this fight here done and dusted. Brassa will get demeched, and honestly, if you're Vesuvius, I don't think you kill the Deva.
No, just leave Brassa out of mech. Let Brassa try and figure that out. And then Goonie just getting stuck in a room with Jubs and others. That was probably not going to turn out well with just Jubs in there, but, you know, forget the rest of the team coming up as well. And, I mean, Vesuvius coming up on a few ultimates here with that Rampage and that Visor. Deva not really close on much of anything yet. You might want to just sit and farm this Nano almost to give your Deva a fighting chance.
That's probably would be a smart thing to do here, but at the same time, you don't really want to because the time bank is already counting down very, very quickly here. Jub's almost getting taken out early. Really, Deva needs, or what Deva needs right now is just an early pick, but you just see Albert using that rampage in the backline, lands onto 3, will be able to take care of Flex, but still, this is a moment right now where you have a lot of attention going the way here of Vesuvius, and they're just finding all the picks as Jubs finds another one that's crushed, killed, opportunity trying to come out there, but Albert's gonna barely be able to escape with their life. However, Brasa not gonna be able to keep the mech here again. They're gonna have to go back to spawn and potentially swap to another hero and then back over to the Deva.
It's a really, the thing that I think is extra tough about this is that you're dealing with basically a poke comp, and then there's a queen in your face. Like it's like a two-pronged thing. You have like an entire poke comp, and then a queen is just in your face. The Captive Sun does come out there from Rookie, forces the team back, and Brasa does manage to get a kill after swapping to the queen as well.
Override Protocol coming out here from Goonie as well, getting a decent amount of damage, but not really finding any picks here. And this is what I want to see last round from Brasa. We saw them play very good on the Queen the first map. I want to see how they would do it this map. Amage now coming out from Balaka to keep everyone alive, and Deva, they're going to have to respect it here, but they have some ultimates coming up here. The Nano, the Blade could be used, but you look over at Vesuvius, 3 good ultimates, 3 good sustainable ultimates as well, especially with Luminite and that Transcendence there, but the bullet out there pretty early on from Elite Zero. Gonna be able to find the stick, but not gonna be able to find the kill as Goonie shuts them down. Now the Transcendence out from Luminite here, as they know this could be a fight where Deva's gonna heavily invest in, with Brasa falling there pretty early on. Do we see that investment from Deva anymore? Vesuvius, though, they've invested everything in this fight and have really only been able to find 2 picks off it. However, they have found 2 very high value targets here, as Kokushiba will fall as well. So back to the drawing board here for Deva.
To the drawing board, indeed. We're coming into last fight right now, so you have an opportunity here. If you're Deva, you got that Nano Blade, you held on to it for that entire fight. Side note here, though, Albert going to have the Rampage online, and that can really just ruin your entire team's day. I mean, Balake already has another Amp Matrix as well. I swear they just used it.
I mean, Luminite's been able to quickly build up to another Transcendence. They used it just last fight as well. There's the Rampage out, going to be able to find 3. The Nano and the Blade are out as well, but it's going to be Kokushiba finding 1. You do lose Goonie in it, and you will find Jubs with it as well. Balake, though, trying to keep themselves alive. Nice deflect there by Kokushiba, and you're so close to that first put, and you're going to be able to get it. Nice play coming out there from Deva to keep their hopes alive in this map, but now they have a long uphill battle still ahead of them.
Yes, they most certainly do, but in the meantime, they did build up to a couple of ultimates, you know, in that last fight. That Override Protocol going to be online, the Rampage, and that Captive Sun. Captive Sun and Rampage is a combo I never thought about, but that could actually go crazy with the antis as well. But Vesuvius is going to have their Amp Matrix, the Transcendence, and that Tac Visor, so could do a lot to try and deny what they're doing here.
Rampage out there pretty early on from Brasa, and there's everything coming out from Vesuvius other than the visor, but that should be able to keep everyone alive, and instead it'll be Brasa falling there pretty early on, and Deva, again, probably has to just go right back to the drawing board, and this cart is in a very, very bad spot for them as it's all the way up the hill. It's going to be very hard for them even to get back up, but Vesuvius, they want to take a fight here. They want to try to clean up everyone, and they're going to be able to.
Yes, they are. Aggression tends to be rewarded a lot in Overwatch, and this is a prime example of that happening right now. Goonie swapping over to the Soldier to try and match Jubs on the legs. That Bolo going to be available from Elite Zero, and Jubs going to have that Visor online for the side of Vesuvius. Deva does have a Nano and a Captive Sun available, but if you use that Captive Sun, you got to make sure that that Immortality Field is out first.
Luminite going to be able to shut down Kokushiba as they try to make that dive into the back line. Now Vesuvius already in a little bit of a good spot here. Here comes the Captain Sun, I believe, lands onto a couple, and yeah, it landed onto a couple, all right. Landed onto 3, and all of them are going to go bursting up in flames, as that one ultimate right there is going to probably secure Deva the second point.
They did also nano, I think they nanoed Brasa right there, it seemed like at least. So they lose out on that as well. But a great Captive Sun, right? As soon as that Immortality Field came out, what did you see? You saw Yari flying in the air, knowing that that is my go sign. As soon as that Immortality Field is free, I am free to try and get this triple kill, and indeed they did in that fight.
Right right now you see Vesuvius, they still have a decent amount of time. The timebacks on their side here, already ahead. They could give this third point. No, they're attacking second in overtime, but still they want to be able to end this map before overtime. And you look at Vesuvius, all 5 ultimates coming online, while the only thing that Deva has very early on in this engagement will be the blade here, but Brass are very low and no supports in sight here. They will be taken out by Jubs, who also takes care of Kokoshibo, and that's just back to the drawing board here for Deva, as they're going to have to fall back and regroup.
Yeah, this is a tough spot to be in if you're Deva, because you're pretty... There's very... Oh, you can't get staggered out like that either. That is a tough stagger death. But you're pretty much guaranteed to lose the next fight, right? Vesuvius would have to choke this incredibly hard to lose this next fight with 5 ultimates. So, like, you need to play this fight very quickly and try and force out a few ultimates so you have the chance to win the next fight.
The Animatrix basically just stops all that from happening because no one's going to poke their head out because they fear that he'll just be taken off. And look, 45 seconds left to go here. This is essentially final fight territory.
It's a tough spot to be in, too, because you still have those other 4 ultimates available. And then that ante comes through, and Albert takes down Kokoshibo, and there goes Rookie.
But you do lose Albert now. Elite going to be using their bully here. Not going to find anyone off it. Goonie, though, going to be able to find one right back. Make it 3 for Goonie for them. And now Flex, only one left alive here for their... and Goonie going to be able to shut down Zero and Balake. Goonie, this has been a player so far for this Deva team that's really been able to help them out in a lot of situations. That one right there is huge. As you look at the ultimates now, Deva in control.
They absolutely are. That Nano Blade online once again, but Luminite has the Transcendence as well. You've got to try and force this Transcendence out early if you're Deva, but Luminite's been very good about holding it.
Jub's not going to shut down Flex, so there's no Nano Blade on the table anymore for Deva. There's no Visor as Goonie popped it and got taken out by Elite. Zero, Albert finding one. Another Captain Sun coming out there from Rookie, but it's not going to be enough this time around. The Blade out in desperation, and Vesuvius going to be able to stop the bleeding here on this push. Going to be able to take our second map of the night, putting them on to series point.
Well, you know, I have to say, Deva was looking significantly better once they swapped off of that Diva-style composition and went for what I'm going to guess was more of their comfort picks, right? That's what it seemed like at the very least, because we saw no sign of that Iari until they were pushing on their attack, and we saw it just worked significantly better for them. So this may be a situation where Deva just needs to play heroes that they're more comfortable on instead of trying to play like a composition per se, because Vesuvius did pretty much just that, right? They ran a Junker Queen with an entire poke composition. That's not something that I really see people do ever, but, you know, Albert, preferred hero, most played hero, Junker Queen. So let's let Albert play that hero, and we'll all just get on poke heroes that are really strong on circuit.
I mean, I think Jubs and Elite Zero. I mean, Elite Zero came off the bench in that game, got subbed in, and looked incredible. And Jubs, I mean, ever since that first point on Helios, they've looked almost unstoppable. Goonies had their moments and been able to shut them down, but Jubs has been so far more consistent throughout these first 2 maps.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Jubs has just been an absolute menace on that Soldier 76, to the point, you know, like you said a little bit earlier, you know, that Soldier might be a ban that you want to consider doing, because we've seen Vesuvius do really well with Jubs on that Soldier. It didn't seem to be going quite in that same manner when Jubs was on a different hero. So, you know, I would probably highly consider banning that Soldier on the next map.
Yeah, they're going to have a little bit of time to think about this, though, because with that being the end of our second map, we are going to throw it over to a quick break, and when we come back, we will have our third and potential final map of this series, unless Deva has something to say about it, so everyone stick around. We will be right back.
Got lots of love. Love. Got lots of love. Love. Got lots of love. Love.
All right, welcome back, everyone, from that break right there. So far, if you exclude the first point on Ilios, Vesuvius has looked like the more dominant team throughout this one here. But Deva, they have shown us brief moments that they can make this close. We do know what our third and potential final map of the night is. We will be heading over to Numbani, and this is a map where when me and you were talking about a little bit, it's in the map pool. It's been in the map pool in the first half of the season. It's in the map pool for the playoff or mid-season playoffs, and it's one that we both said maybe we've only seen it once combined between the two of us. This is a map, especially with Kings Row being in the map pool, you just don't see that often.
Well, it's like you have Kings Row, Hollywood, Eichenwald. Like we have a lot of really popular maps, I would say, in this first half map pool for hybrid. And Numbani, probably the least popular of the bunch. I personally like Numbani a lot, but I also like playing Dive, so that's probably why. But Deva picking it is really odd to me because we saw Braza play a little bit of that Diva on the Circuit Royale, but on Ilios, they were on Junker Queen the entire time. So I don't know. I'm a little perplexed as to what the idea might be here. And I mean, in this case, I was telling you this a little bit when we were on break. I'm actually going to take a shot in the dark here and say that they're going to not go for the soldier ban that I suggested might be coming on this map, just because of how good Jubs has been on it. But they might actually go for the Wrecking Ball and try and force like a Deva mirror between these two teams.
And I think that'd be a really good idea, but Deva, they want to make sure Jubs doesn't have the soldier, which is, I mean, again, this is in any other series, I feel like soldier would be a very interesting ban, but Jubs has been showing us that Soldier 76 is incredibly well, especially in the right hands.
It makes perfect sense. You know, I said it before the break. We've seen Jubs dominate on this hero. We have not seen Jubs dominate on another hero yet. Show it to me. That's essentially what Deva's saying right there. They're like, hey, show me you got it on one of these other heroes that can't just... I call Soldier Tracer Light, right? You can kind of just run around, heal yourself, and just do poke damage from a distance. Vesuvius now getting their ban in, and they're going to go with the Brigida ban, which, again, makes perfect sense because, like I said, that 1 point on Ilios, that the side of Deva was doing very, very well on, it was because Rookie was on that Brig and just keeping the entire team alive with their perfectly timed whip shots and rallies.
Yeah, and again, especially going over to a dive map, you normally think that that back line, yeah, Kiri Lucio might still be strong, but Brig definitely has a lot of play in dive backline, so it makes really good sense to be getting rid of that here. However, what changes are we going to see from these teams? I feel like that's the one we have to be asking here now, and yeah, this is what I thought we would be seeing, at least from Vesuvius. Happy Dragon coming in, and Luminite looks like they'll be staying in as well. Again, they played that Zenyatta really great last map, and we both mentioned it, like, hey, Zen is definitely a hero that you could see on circuit, and they made it look very, very good. But Deva showing us their first sub of the night as an Aura going to be coming in here for this third map.
Yeah, potentially going with some double flex based compositions. I mean, it kind of makes sense. You know, the Brig is out of the equation now, so yeah, maybe we're going to go for something more Zen-like ourselves, right? Maybe Deva is wanting to potentially mirror that Zen, or maybe they go with the ERE. You know, there's quite a few options here, but with the Brig just being taken out of the equation, it really does lead you to think, hey, maybe we should just play double flex support instead.
Yeah, and that could definitely be the thing that we're seeing here for them. But, I mean, Happy Dragon coming back in. Elite Zero, I thought Elite Zero showed us an incredible play that last map. Again, first map coming in, played that Freya. This is definitely a map where you could still play Freya. First point has long sight lines. Second point has long sight lines that the Freya could definitely take advantage of here. But I want to see, what does Jubs play? Because we saw him play Cassidy a little bit in the first map. We saw him play Ashe a little bit in that second map. What does Jubs now gravitate towards instead? Actually, it looks like Gravelot is coming in for Jubs this map.
That makes perfect sense, right? Elite Zero, we know, is pretty elite on the Freya at the very least, and hey, if you can run the Freya, I have no reason to believe you can't run the Ashe as well. So, you know, kudos there. That makes perfect sense. And then Gravelot, as we know, is the Tracer player. So if you're wanting to run the Tracer composition, there you go. You managed to get Jubs out of here with that ban, basically.
Yeah, and is that going to be the difference maker here for Deva? Time will tell, but I mean, essentially, after this map ends, or after this map, win or lose, you're going to have to, or with a win, this map for Deva, you're going to have to figure out how to shut down Jubs in the next map as well.
Yeah, and Vesuvius will have map pick as well, so they can play something that's more advantageous for them. Kokushibo going to be on that Cassidy here. I'm going to be curious to see if they'll be able to have the range to be able to do a lot of damage.
It's interesting of seeing Kokushibo go over to play the Cassidys, considering that's been like Goonie's role this entire series so far. They played an excellent Cass, they played an excellent Ashe as well, and even towards the end of the last map, we saw him play a very good Soldier. I mean, the hit scan and flex DPS roles look like they have swapped here now for Deva.
Yeah, they really have. And Deva not really being able to figure out how to engage here. A good ante comes in, followed by that pile driver, and Kokushibo just immediately getting obliterated.
And you just see Happy Dragon come right back in and already feel like they're right back to how they're playing back on map 1. They will be able to find an Aura, but Brasa going to be able to find Luminite out. So still, this is a moment where if you're Vesuvius, you might have to give up a little bit here, but Happy Dragon going to try to stall at this point as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, that's the downside about having to deal with a Wrecking Ball, is they have, for all intents and purposes, unlimited HP reserves, basically. I mean, look at that health bar. It's ridiculous. And so you can just stall this out for forever. One tick is going to come through, though, for the side of Deva.
Luminite comes right back in and gets rid of flex there. That's someone you did not want to see fall pretty early on in engagement here for Deva. They're still trying to cap up. Goonie going to be able to find a lead 0, though, with the Pulse Bomb. Happy Dragon, though, and Gravelot going to be able to trade it out almost immediately here. As Kokushibo trying to keep themselves alive here, but being pressured out a little bit by Happy Dragon, who will eventually find them. So what looked to be a promising start there for Deva kind of falls apart there, but they do have one tick to their name.
They do indeed. And, Gravelot going to have the Pulse Bomb online. Happy Dragon with those mines. The Nanos online for Balake. And Luminite's very, very close on this Transcendence as well. You're probably going to have to nano your Deva in here if you're Deva. Otherwise, I don't know how Brasa can really get to this backline fast enough.
Got anteed up there for a brief moment, and just look at where Elite Zero is playing. They're kind of playing off on their own. No one's really pestering them at the moment, and eventually they will be able to find Kokushibo out there, who's so close to a dead-eye, but they'll have to hold on to it for next fight. And what does Deva decide to do? Do they decide to go in, or just kind of still just play around it for the moment? They're going to slow it down, but Goonie going to fall there to Gravelot, and I think at that moment right there, you're Deva, you are backing out to regroup.
Yes, you absolutely are. I hope at least. Okay, it does look like they are going to back up. And Vesuvius with all 5 ultimates. Deva basically has all 5 ultimates. Well, not all 5. They got 4 ultimates, and then Goonie has now swapped over to this Sojourn. We haven't seen them play that hit scan, but as good as they are at basically every other one, I see no reason to believe why they won't be good at this.
Played a little bit at the start of Circuit Royale, but didn't really last long. Gravelot gonna be able to shut down Inara. Goonie only gonna be shown for a brief moment on that Soch before they're taken out. Kokushiba will be able to find a Happy Dragon, but still a lot of Deva's members out of this fight already. So back to the drawing board for them, and Happy Dragon should be able to get back. Elite Zero. That's, I think, a pick that you might want to have back there, as the baby Deva would have taken a long time to get back in mech.
Yeah, that would have taken a while at the very least. But I mean, you've got what I would say is the ult advantage here. You have to deal with a Kitsune and a Nano, but those are 2 ultimates that you can potentially back out of. And if you need point presence, you can just toss Bob or Mines onto the point to force that. You have Transcendence. I really like Vesuvius' ult pool right here.
Dragon, though, immediately gonna do what you said right there. The bombs or the mines coming out as Happy Dragon gonna be able to shut down Kokushibo. Inara does throw out the Kitsune rush here, but it will immediately fall. Bomb coming out into the backline. Still gonna be able to find 2, so Deva has an opportunity now. They just need to be able to capitalize on it. Gravelot gonna be able to shut down Goonie, but immediately traded out there as now the Deva and Tracer with the ball coming back in. Just gonna be the only thing stopping Deva from capping this point right now for Vesuvius. Pulse Bomb out there onto the mech, not gonna be able to find one as Gravelot will fall. And now it's all up to Happy Dragon to stall this point out any little bit longer. Elite Zero does have Bob, but I think they're gonna have to hold on to it. Actually, no, Bob does come out. It's perfectly on point. This allows now Vesuvius to come right back in. The Bob will be melted down. Happy Dragon understands they have to just sit on point here. They do have their supports coming back, and Balake not that far away, but no! They C9'd it! Oh!
Score 0-0. Switching sides.
Just gonna let that sit in there for a second. So it does look like the spin to win actually won. You know, I don't think I've ever seen it actually win before, but it did right there. The spin to win it got the point in the favor of Vesuvius. So and now you're at a 98.5%. Still winnable for Deva, but with the level of dominance we've honestly seen from Vesuvius on this Wrecking Ball comp, I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer, Dex. I got to be honest with you. I'm not a believer here. I'm going to need Deva to show it to me because I don't believe it right now.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. I wasn't doing that exact pose, but it was pretty close to it. I just, like, a good play there by Happy Dragon. A really good play there by Happy Dragon, forcing everyone off the point. But that should not have happened. And yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where Deva's going to have to put on the defensive performance of probably their season so far to make sure that this map doesn't end the series here. And you see Brasta going back over to the Deva here, and it's again you don't have to play it perfectly, like we were talking a little bit about Circuit Royale. You can have that moment, but if you lose Brasa at any point in any of these fights, that's probably it here for them.
Yeah, I'll say too, Goonie being on this Bastion, that's a wide open target for some sticky bombs, with Gravelot now being on this Echo. So you've got a lot of targets that you can land some sticky bombs, get some high value on right now.
Yeah, and you already see Happy Dragon. They're just kind of buying their time here in the backline as Elite Zero almost getting rid of Kokushibo out there, but Happy Dragon gonna be able to find Flex. That's not how you want to see fall. Kokushibo gonna be the next one to fall there for Deva, and could we be seeing the beginning of the end? Goonie will be able to find Happy Dragon, but Goonie immediately traded right back out there now. Whew, Inara barely keeps himself alive, only to be taken out by Elite Zero. 3 members on point right now for that point. Okay, now members on point right here for Vesuvius.
They forgot for a minute. They were like, oh, wait a minute. We have to cap the point. That's right.
You see Deva trying to get back here as quickly as they can. It's going to be Kokushibo just stalling it out here for a brief moment, but I don't think we'll get another touch out there from Deva. So Vesuvius going to be able to take our series tonight in a sweeping fashion to put themselves into the NAGM tier grand or final tier for the midseason playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it was I mean, quite frankly, the first point, Elios was really tough for them on that well. Beyond that, they just looked like the far superior team for the rest of this series. Like, not like the kind of superior team, the far superior team. Like, that was very great performance from Vesuvius.
I mean, you could talk about Deva getting those 2 points on Circle Royale, getting pretty decently far on third point before that map eventually ended there for them as really good and scrappy plays from Deva. But yeah, I have to agree with you. Vesuvius looked like hands down the much better team after that first point on Elios. I mean, the hit scans were playing very well. The tank play we saw from both Happy Dragon and Albert looked incredible there from, and that support line. I mean, we saw Luminite come in there and looked really, really good. Chris Kringle we only saw for that first map, and Balake. This seems like a team that has the pieces here to really go on a little bit of a run here. Granted, it's gonna be a short run no matter what because they're already in the finals now. But they now await an opponent in the finals.
And I mean, it looks like even with them making all the various swaps that they make, everybody knows their role, right? Everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. They know the push and pull. We weren't really seeing them over ult in fights either. They were holding ults, being proactive as well. You know, when we would see like those rampages from Albert just like right into the back line, just getting 2 or 3 kills with it. You know, sometimes those substitutions can hinder a team, and in Vesuvius' case, it seems like everybody still knows their roles regardless of who's actually in.
Oh, and Elite Zero, when they came in, they looked incredible. They kept that up into the final map as well. And it almost makes you question why they didn't start the series, but still, even with what we saw there pretty early on from Gravel, who we did see come back in that final map, it seemed like you said, everyone understood their role and they played it to perfection. But we're going to throw it over to a quick break. When we come back, we will have an interview with someone from our winning team here tonight of Vesuvius. So everyone stick around. We will be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone, from that break there. We are pleased to be joined by Gravelot, one of the DPS players from our victory team, or wow, I cannot speak, our winning team tonight of Vesuvius. Hey man, congratulations on the victory here. A great performance from everyone on your team tonight. It's every player on your roster played here. There's a lot of flexibility, it seems to be, on your team. Is that something that you look as a big strength, especially here in the midseason?
When everyone's here, for sure. Yeah, because actually we're not very flexible at all. We play Ball or Junker Queen. Those are the two tanks we play. We don't actually play anything else. So when everyone's here, we have some room to work with, and today we did. So yeah, it was pretty good. I'm happy everyone got some game time.
Yeah, it was a great performance overall. I gotta ask though, what do you think the struggle was on Ilios Well? Because it just looked like y'all were a completely different team from Well through, and then the rest of the game, basically.
I honestly have no idea. I was on Sombra, like, let me go backline, then someone would die. I was like, oh, never mind then. So I could not really tell you. I think the issue, from what everyone was saying, was that we just didn't have the damage for the Junker Queen, and they were on break carry, so their backline was going to take actual age to die. So yeah, I think it was the very first map, very first round. So it's just, everyone's cold. It took us a bit to get into it.
And then, do you have a preference of either of the two other teams on the other side of this bracket that you would want to play in the finals, or does it not really matter for you?
Oh no, I would love to play Staraglia, because we already whooped Rio. Linden are the team I have top of the league. I think it's Lindenwood at us. So it would be if I want to just win and take my trophy, I'll say I hope to play against them. But if I want to really test my team and see who's the best team in GM, I'd like to go against Lindenwood, who I'm pretty sure they're actually playing right now. So they might even be done. They might have already won. But yeah, I'd rather play against Staraglia, but Lindenwood is probably who we're going to play against.
Well, no matter what, it should be a fun game in that grand finals here for the midseason. But I want to talk about the people that you share the DPS line with, especially Elite Zero and Jubs, who throughout the night tonight had some incredible performances. Jubs looked incredible on the Soldier, even forcing, I really think, a ban onto the Soldier 76, which even both me and Shadow talked about, saying you don't see that very often. That's how good Jubs was playing. But Elite Zero, it seems no matter who they're playing, if it's on that hit scan when they're playing it, they just don't miss. How much freedom, or how much freedom does that really give you as playing that Tracer, just to be able to kind of know freely you're going to have a lot of space to be moving around?
Yeah, playing with Jubs as the Tracer player, let me tell you right now, it's a cheat code. It is a cheat. Go into their backline and they're all 2 HP. Oh, perfect. Clip, done. I don't even have to use the whole clip. 20 bullets, done. Playing with Jubs is if you ever look at his damage, he has double the damage everyone else single time. He's just beaming down main. And me and Happy are happy to clean that up in the backline. So yeah, playing with Jubs is a cheat code. Playing with Elite is also great because he's on PC, so it's more honest.
Okay. I will not disagree with that here tonight. They looked incredible throughout this entire series here, much like yourself. But before I let you go here, man, we want to give you the time to, we want to give you the floor to shout anyone or anything you want.
Shout out to Elite Zero, because a couple weeks ago I needed a ringer friend, and that friend was like, ask this guy, he's good, he can scrim your ELO. Got Elite Zero in, and honestly I was such a big fan. I'm still a big fan, such a big fan. And at the end of the scrim, I was like, you want to trial? And he was like, hell yeah. And he trialed, it went great, now he's on the team. So shout out to that guy.
Right, man. Hey, but congratulations on the victory. Good luck in the grand finals later this week, man. But hey, again, great performance tonight.
Thank you.
Again, everyone, that was Gravelot from our winning team in this series here of Vesuvius. And Shadow, I mean, again, we touched on it there in the interview. just Vesuvius team looked like a much different team after that first point there. But for Deva as well, they had some moments that really made us believe that maybe if they were able to put together, they would be able to come back. They will bow out of the midseason here, but I think they still have a really bright end of the season to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're still a 3-1 team. Their only loss coming to Vesuvius, who is, potentially the best team in the tier. You heard it from Gravelot themselves. They think they're the second best team in the tier. So, it's not crazy to lose 3-0 to one of the top teams in the tier. You just need to keep improving and get to the point where you can just not take so much damage, because, like Gravelot was saying, we were seeing that happen a lot where they were losing a lot of those neutral fights. They were able to win fights with their ultimates, but they needed to have more fights where they were winning just in the neutral without ultimates.
Yeah, and hey, I will say this, just taking a look at the bracket here, or at least I am on my second screen, we do know who they will be playing in the grand finals here for the midseason for GM. It will be Lindenwood. Again, so the best two teams going up against each other in that GM finals here for the midseason, I think will be a very, very exciting series. And I think what we saw here tonight from this Vesuvius team, even with them saying like, hey, they can really only play the Wrecking Ball and the Jungle Queen, I still think that's going to be enough to really make it an interesting series, because I always will say if a team struggles to shut down the Wrecking Ball, they're going to struggle to shut down everything else, and Lindenwood's going to have to be prepared for that.
Yeah, and it's so... Wrecking Ball's such an odd character that you don't have to play against that often, that it can potentially throw you off as well. So there's that factor to think about as well.
Yeah, but again, a great series here for Vesuvius. Like I said, we saw all 8 members of this team play here tonight and play at a very, very high level. That, I would have to imagine, makes them a very, very scary team.
Oh, absolutely. I think this grand final should be a close one. I think it should be an incredibly competitive one as well, just based on the performance we've seen from Vesuvius here tonight.
Yep, absolutely. But again, hey, congratulations to Vesuvius on getting the sweep. A one map better performance than when these two teams met in week 2 there. Deva, like I said, I think they still have a bright future ahead of them here in the back half of the season and the end of season playoffs, but they will bow out here now. And we will also bow out here for the night at CGL. There is another game going on at CGL 2, so I imagine once we end here, we are going to be rating that one. But again, just want to give a quick shout out to Soab Donovan and Headrammer for putting on this performance behind the scenes. Shadow, I want to thank you for casting alongside me here tonight. And thank you everyone who came out and watched. Again, stick around. We will be throwing it over to CGL 2 for another mid-season playoff game. But until tomorrow or till then, hope you all have a good night, and we will see you later.